if it is okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
And now I would like to start with our event, and I would like to start with first of all with the program. And we have this program, and I shared with all of you. And today I would like first of all to tell that one of the Europe's most relevant resources are the rivers that cross it. And maybe I should also repeat a little bit before what I said before, because recording just started. So welcome once again, everyone, to Big Data for Rivers online event, study visit and good practice presentation in Lithuania. And as you know, one of the Europe's, not only Europe's, world's most relevant resource are the rivers that crosses it. They are not only the main responsible for the rich and diverse European natural ecosystems, but also the main source of the water used by the population and population activities. And the overall objective of the project is to exchange experiences and good practices between partners in the field of the efficiency of water systems, to adapt those good practices and apply the lessons learned to each partner reality through the development of individual action plans, and to promote their application through the partners' policy instruments. So today we have study visit and good practice presentation in Lithuania. We have in the program several good practices and study visits. So we will start with the presentation of the head of department, Environmental Protection Agency under the Ministry of Environment, Mr. Gintautas Sabas. Then the following presentation will be from Chief Researcher and Professor Artūras Razinkovas-Baziukas from Klaipėda University. Afterwards, we will listen to Vytautas Akstinas, Senior Researcher of Laboratory of Hydrology, Lithuanian Energy Institute. And after a short break, or maybe we will avoid this break because we used a time, we will listen to Donata Pasovienė, Technologies from joint stock company Kretingos Vandenys, and also about the implementation of GIS at the joint stock company Kauno Vandenys. So I would like to start to ask, of course, I was preparing a video presentation to invite to Lithuania, and I will share with you with this link afterwards, because I cannot share from my smartphone now. But I would like to ask first Mr. Gintautas Sabas from Ministry of Environment and Environmental Protection Agency to share his screen and to start a presentation on good practice, cadastre of rivers, lakes and ponds of the Republic of Lithuania. So, and also I would like all participants to ask to switch off your microphones, and please, Gintautas, if you can hear me, could you please share your screen and start your presentation?
Is it correct?
Yes, I can see, and I think it's you should start with the first slide, or okay, now it's okay.
Good morning for everyone. My name is Gintautas Sabas. I'm from Environmental Protection Agency, and my presentation about Lithuanian rivers, lakes and ponds cadastre. Mostly everybody know about our information system because we have accessible electronic services. It is one of 11 environmental ministry information systems for electronic services for public and business. 'Environmental Ministry is a manager and fundator of information system. And the main documents and briefly our history of information system. You can see that the first regulation document was adopted in 2000, and after 8 years, Parliament adopted our cadastre in environmental protection law, and 7 years ago, the cadastre of rivers, lakes, and ponds has been put into operation. The main targets, it's simple to understand. It's the main that we need to register water bodies online, collect, store, proceed data about water bodies. What else? Mainly, it is a tool for solving various legal problems, helping to identify crimes, and it's tool for river basin district management plans. Briefly, we are using very simple GIS data model. It's future and spatial objects. So we are responsible only on attributes, geometry like lines, rivers, and polygons, lakes and ponds. We are getting from additional institution. Graphical data. These graphical data of water bodies are obtained from the reference-based cadastre. So, what about attributes? The main basic data, it's name, identify code, river basin, district name, basin, sub-basin name, and mostly our colleagues, they thought that we are collecting information about owners, managers, regulated or not regulated rivers. So we are having permission on this data. And specific data, we are collecting data about islands, monitoring, gauging station, and a lot of geographic data. And the same situation about lakes and ponds. Additional information we are collecting about dammed rivers and lakes. So we are having additional identify system from all this, and what else? And the other characteristic is hydraulic engineering structures data. And we are collecting fish ladders data, hydropower plants, dams, and there is technical characteristics. And we are collecting information about owners, managers. There are hydrology characteristics. There is Lithuanian ladders. So our objects in our cadastre, we are having the Lithuanian hydrography network is, how to say, it's very dense, but fish ladders only 26. It's quite what is most important for public, that we are collecting not all data about all rivers and lakes. We have criteria. Rivers not less than 3 kilometers, and lakes and ponds only half hectare. And our density of barriers, hydraulic structures on rivers, so it's very dense, and it's disaster for our rivers. So in my opinion, we have more than 1,500 dams. We only one person in our agency working on data collection and not full day. So for us, it's very hard to collect all data. In our system, we can see that a lot of rivers with a lot of ponds, and then there are example river Venta with ponds cascade. And our results of collecting data, we are preparing data with map fragment, and our data sources from very we are having ponds regulation like permission documents, and these documents are more than 500, and all these documents was collected in our information system. There is a first cadastral paper documents. It's was published. It's about 1960. Yeah, and in Lithuania, hydrography data was collected by river basins. How many users we are having on our system? So we are having more than 200 registered users. And currently our data is not fully open, data available for a fee to unregistered users through electronic government gateway. So we have contracts with institutions like inspectorates, and other side is universities. And in our duties, when we started used GIS and this information system, we get very strange situations. One example is when two owners have the same lake. And other problem, we found that land like private land like agricultural land was in Lithuanian waters, inland waters. So at the moment, on our duties, I hope that problems like this, we hope that they will not exist now. So thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Gintautas, for your presentation. And maybe from the audience, somebody has some questions to the presenter. If you just have any question, please make your microphone on and ask directly to question to Gintautas.
I have, could I have a question? It's Arturas Razinkovas-Baziukas from Klaipėda University. Actually, is it database is accessible from outside, or it's only served for the internal service, as the internal service for the ministry?
At the moment, it's only internal services, but we publish a couple services for couple institutions like forest cadastre, territory planning information system, and I think we have services, but it's future services without data downloading. It's I think the main problem for users, but we are hoping that the ministry will be open our system by next year. They have these plans. The statistical government department.
Okay, thank you, Arturas, for your question. And do we have more questions for Gintautas?
I have a question. Sofia here in Sweden. Can I ask?
Yes, please, Sofia.
Do you hear me? Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
thank
yes.
you. I was thinking about this, maybe I missed or something, but you showed the dams and that this was included. Do you also have like water quality, like phosphorus concentrations and things like that in the system?
Thank you for question. In this cadastre, we are collecting only technical data.
Okay.
And we have additional system for river basin management plans and for monitoring systems.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you, Gintautas, for your presentation and that you could present and you find the time for this. And thank you very much. We appreciate very much. Thank you very much. And let's go to the next presentation, as was announced before, on study visit and GP, floating Iceland for nutrient removal, live lagoons project. And I would like to ask Professor Chief Researcher from Klaipėda University, Arturas Razinkovas-Baziukas, to share his screen.
Okay, wait a moment. I hope that this will work right now. Okay, let me go to somewhere. Okay, share screen. Could you see it?
It comes, and could you please make a mode presentation?
I know. I just didn't turn it because I have too many windows at this moment on my screen, and I'm fighting with them. I think I should put some F5.
Really, this online working is so stressful. We just checked all the system, all the presentation abilities and technical solutions with Arturas and Gintautas and all other presenters. And I really do not understand what happened with my computer. And I will try, I got from Gintautas suggestion, I will try to reconnect to my computer. And so, Arturas, please make your presentation and floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. So I'm actually presentation is the title is combining multiple societal benefits in the Life Lagoons project. So we're going just to present you how how the nature-based solution could be used to improve both the water quality, but improve restore the biodiversity, and also provide some aesthetical values for, it's actually in this case in the Baltic lagoons. So the first of all, the Baltic lagoons are quite sensitive transitional waters prone to eutrophication and other water pollution. As we know, all of them are actually connected to the big rivers, and the big rivers bringing a lot of nutrients. And in this point, when you try to calculate how much we need to reduce the nutrient loadings from the rivers, it seems that we already past caring situation. We should shoot down nearly all the agriculture in let's say in Germany, Poland, Lithuania, and so on, and then only then we will reach a kind of good environmental status, which will not work. It's because so we were looking rather than tackling the whole lagoon, we could see the more acute problems could occur in sheltered areas like embayments. And actually, also there are some beaches and recreational areas. So we try to look into the possibility just to apply some of the innovative solutions that we could combat eutrophication and improve buffing water qualities. That is actually a problem is in all of the Baltic lagoons. We tried after some preparatory phase, tried to down as kind of floating wetlands. So then they are kind of all-rounders. They do a lot. They create habitats for microbes, microinvertebrates, nutrient doing the nutrient removal. You could have also produce biomass for utilization. You could grow kind of plants for the use, like like wheat, or it's quite aesthetic, nice looking. They improve the biodiversity, actually just attenuate the water flow. So it's quite positive. That's very few, according to our reviews that we did it. It's quite a few real adverse problems that we could look at this here. So of course, that there's some problem with the plants because we need to use native plants, especially the territories of protected territories. We cannot use some alien ones, and as possible, we should use the degradable material and avoid plastics because we know it will create another one problem. Well, so actually, this idea, it's not absolutely new. And as you look at this picture, it's actually coming something like 1,000 years ago. So you see in this picture, this happy citizens of great access empire are implementing farm to fork strategy. So it's existed, the floating wetlands existed mostly for agricultural reasons in actually Aztec probably could be called the inventors of this stuff. So we have, in this case, this is our wetland location, floating wetland. This one is a more density modern chain and kind of lagoon system. So, and then we have two pilot studies in the Szczecin lagoon, and we have actually already 4, because it's slightly outdated, we already have 4 in Lithuania. We have in Nida, in the Coronian Lagoon, in Jotkrant in the northern part, in the Klaipėda, in the Danube, in Bayman. So it's more or less how it geographically looks like. So the first of all, because we're using these plants, and we needed just to have a look a little bit at the climate. Actually, we have born Jotkrant in Volin in all 3 sites, more or less quite similar. It's a little bit, we are in the colder part of the region, while actually the Szczecin Lagoon is probably the warmest place that we could see the difference. So we use different types of technologies, and currently in Lithuania we use biometrics, and actually it's commercially supplied, but it's still have using HDPE and also plastic PP mesh that we didn't like it, and we have a custom-made floating rig with mesh sized in Nida. So we have quite a similar matrix produced by matrix company in Poland. And actually in Born we have German-made Oken productions. It was experimental one. So the last one worked a little bit better with the boys. The first one actually sank. Well, and at the end now we have development here at Technology Supplies, because we have part of Marine Research Institute actually engineering laboratory. So we try to reduce plastics, remove the net, actually plastic net, put metal things, and also we still keeping the HDPE pipes because it's possible to assure the buoyancy, but we put more authentic material from the national parks, and this type need to replace at least partially these coconut fibers. So this is a short overview what we have. We have a kind of a net we have also different types of, because we needed to assess the effects are better assessed, but we try to measure the harvest, how much of the nitrogen and phosphorus is removed. So we did it also, we get a bonus with the zebra mussels because it's settling up on the net and it's providing some extra removal of the nutrients. And the islands, actually, we have kind of a little bit of science here. We did a comparison of phosphorus, nitrogen, and also kind of a capacity of the removal. But we should be aware we have a 28 square meters island, and actually in the first year, it most or more or less it's could be compared to the nitrogen and phosphorus produced by one family. After 3 years of the experiment, it was really like 3 households. So it's actually because it's maturing, the islands are maturing. So we have also a lot of very nice and positive effects on the biodiversity. So we have mallards nesting there, and we have the yellow eel also using the islands of the habitat. It was actually a real bonus because we were not able to do the monitoring of yellow eels. Otherwise, they are very tricky to catch, but silence is a kind of a trap for them when they leave. Okay, so we have quite interesting data on the reed beds and the biodiversity in the reed bed. It's a national park, actually protected territory, but as you see, very roughly have a twice biodiversity as twice higher in you could find in the floating wetlands than in the neighboring reed bed. And this is something like we try to produce just to show you how these floating wetlands improve the ecosystem services in the water basins that we actually applied. So it's actually going for provisioning, so we could get a little bit of nursery habitat for fish also goes here, and we have biomass. It's a lot of cultural services. Already we employed it for both students and for some of the school children and also for our research. We have a lot of regulated services covered and improved by users of these islands. So the preliminary conclusions, because we have a difference in water quality parameters in case of the net type, experimental design will rather the result of water circulation restriction. So actually, we didn't encounter much of the, of the effect of the removal, but rather of physical enforcing, reducing the exchange with the lagoon. We have also settling of larvae and subsequent growth of the zebra mussels that contribute significantly to the nutrient removal capacity of plants. The plant biomass production varies significantly between experimental sites, so we have really a difference. It's not be explained by the climatic conditions, but rather by the chemistry of the water bodies, and the relative contact of nitrogen and phosphorus of the same plant species also was different in different sites. For physical and chemical factors, salinity, for example, we have quite much more higher salinity in dust seams bordens than in other parts we use, and also could be responsible for this. Artificial floating wetlands provide a habitat which has high benthic biological diversity than neighboring reed beds, being also attractive for fish and birds. An artificial island placed in the front of the exposed sandy beach alters the erosion accumulation process that we actually use in the Coronian speeds with some extra also bonus effect, because we could place it just actually, and just to reduce erosion of the sand coast. And artificial wetlands are more aesthetically appreciated in urbanized location. We need a kind of survey among the stakeholders, asking where you do appreciate it better. So of course, if you put it in kind of the placement in the city, the Klaipėda city, when we have mostly concrete embankments, this was really reviving the atmosphere and bringing a little bit of nature into quite urbanized areas. So I would like also to urge you, do not hesitate to order the guidelines that we bring, because we're actually preparing a quite nice and a practical guide. It will be available every spring and next year. Just go to our site and it will take you, less than 1 minute to order it. You should put your email address and the names, that's it. And you will get it as a prize. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Artūras. And I'm trying to use the technologies as much as possible. So I got an advice from Vytautas, from our presenter, to use computer with switched off, not to have echo. And I have for voice, I using a phone. So I think it's now a little bit just like we planned. We have the same what I wanted to make in this event today, and I'm happy that we have you and for your very nice presentation. So first of all, I would like audience, maybe somebody has a question to Artūras Razimkovas Baziukas, to his nice presentation about the Life Lagoon projects and this good practice in Lithuania, not only in Lithuania, but actually in several places around the Baltic Sea. So if there are some questions to Artūras. If still maybe somebody thinking about what to ask, I would like to ask Artūras you about. Yes, I know that wetlands are very helpful for many things, not only for nitrogen and phosphorus, but for, as you presented, for ecosystem services, for biodiversity. But what do you think about the emerging substances or chemicals? And was your idea to start with the biogenic substances, with the nitrogen and phosphorus, or also you had some opportunities to check how wetlands or those small islands helps to remove maybe other chemical substances, emerging substances, what is very important for not only Lithuania, but all around the world, other countries as well?
Okay, it's actually a good question, because you know, it's a floating wetlands. It's a quite universal tool. If you look just to simply go to Mendeley or just will check the peer-reviewed publications, probably about the floating wetlands or artificial wetlands, probably most of the hits will go to the persistent pollution removal. It's exactly the point. And it's a big science right now. I was evaluator of grants issued by the university in Aarhus in Denmark. And they were actually, I just have a chance to evaluate the competitors who were just trying to get a position in the laboratory there. They are quite leading the University of Aarhus in this using of wetlands for, you could use different plants, you could use different settings, and they could even select it for some of the chemicals. And actually, it's a very nice review also published quite recently by my colleagues in Italy, just a review of the use of this floating wetlands for the removal of nutrients from sewage, for example, treatment, or when you could put this type of the floating wetlands, it could be quite a cheap solution just to remove at least partly to improve the quality, but you don't have the full cycle of of the sewage treatment. That's it. So, but because the call was we simply in the program call was for the nutrient removal exactly, and so we simply tackle this one.
Thank you very much. And I see that Sergio Gomez da Silva has a question as well to you. Please, Sergio.
Yes, hi. Thanks for giving the floor. I'm calling from the southwest region of France on the Atlantic coast. And the question with that type of setup is about the hydrodynamics and what is the limit in type of environment in which we can foresee to use that type of setup. Is a coastal environment a possibility? Are there different ways of installing this which can be advised? Thank you.
Okay, actually, it's a very good question again. So as far as I know, in Portugal, because Portugal is actually it's very high energy coast. Normally, they are some application of floating wetlands, mostly in marinas, so because it's protected. What we know is actually we need. One of our first ideas was to use it in near the Putsk, actually in the Putsk lagoon, that is much more, I would say, exposed coast than comparing. And we came up to some technical solutions because providers are initial, biometrics, they guaranteeing at some. I don't recall it exactly. What is the storm they could floating wetlands survive, but it's substantial that could be used as a marine condition, even you have this flexible mooring. So anyway, if you look at the construction of the island, it's based, like Lego. It's constructed from different segments, and they are flexible. So that means it's not so easy to break. And if you use also the flexible mooring solution, so probably you could try to use, we need to check it, because for us it was never been a big problem so far in the lagoons, especially in the smaller ones, like we use it in some embayments that's much more protected. But definitely, they are solutions. The Americans have kind of this, and would be used in the open coast. Probably a little bit further, not directly on the coast, because of this quite intensive, because plants will be destroyed.
Thank you very much.
And do we have more questions to Arturas? No, I don't see, but I still would like a little bit talk with you about the social acceptance of such technologies or such implementations. Maybe you have noticed how the social public acceptance was regarding those implementations. how people feel these implementations or technologies for their societies, because they become part of their societies or surroundings.
Well, it's a good question again, because one of the things, because normally the island should have a static value. For example, the one we placed in the old city, we tried to make it like a flower garden. It was really nice. We used a lot of exotic species. Even, we use this the swarm cypress from the southern North America. It's actually very similar to ones the Aztec used, just plant in the middle, just to make it, like a part of every of the gardens, of the urban gardens. So then they're very much. So we have also placed, but we placed in the very public place in the very old city of Klaipėda. So it's a lot of people were coming by water bikes, for example, and they were enjoying, because it's a lot of the birds was also there. The only one problem, because such bats as the mallards in urban, very much concrete dressed areas, they don't have much to eat of the green. So I would say they also explored our island as a dinner table. So that was a problem in the beginning, when we need to give some time for plants to establish. And then, of course, it's problems.
Oh, okay, thank you very much. That's why we decided in our internal group that we should take this good practice and present it for the partners. When we made joint analytical report with the partners, we selected your good practice from Klaipėda city and to share this good practice with the partnership. So indeed, thank you very much for your presentation, for your ability to present. As far as I know, you are on the business trip now in Rome, and I hope you are enjoying Rome and still in this COVID time, and to find the time to cooperate with us, to present the project. Thank you very much once again, Artūras.
Thank you very much for your interest, and sorry, I will need to leave.
Yeah, thank you very much. I know that you are busy, and your full day is scheduled for full day activities is already foreseen.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Have a nice meeting after. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. So what next we will have, I see that for the next presentation, I would like to invite our colleagues from Lithuanian Energy Institute, senior researcher of Laboratory of Hydrology, Vytautas Akstinas, and actually we are really cooperate in our activities regarding the environmental protection, because we have the same PhD committee with the Kaunas University and Lithuanian Energy Institute, and together with the Vytautas Magnus University. And actually their activities and their research activities are very important for our region, for our country, and not only, they are very active internationally. And so Vytautas is going to present the good practice about the adjustment of model for evaluation of ecological conditions in Lithuanian rivers. So Vytautas, floor is yours, and thank you very much. You helped me to partially to solve the problem, because I was really stressful and I do not know what happened, because I used the same computer I used 2 hours before, and we everything tested, and I do not know what happened. But now I'm happy that we can still continue with our online meeting, and floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Jolanta, for the very wide introducing our works, myself, and first of all, I would like to express very great thanks for you for the invitation to present our research, our experience and insights regarding to mesohapsim model and how to adjust it for any conditions. And in this case, I will present how it was adjusted for the Lithuanian rivers. For the content of this presentation, first of all, I will introduce to the context of this model and short introduction about short history. Then we'll describe the model concept, what is the basic part of it, what is the model interface, what is the applicability of it, what workflow is necessary to adjust it, and why Lithuania, and on the example of 3 projects, on the example of the results of these 3 projects, I will present the application especially for Lithuania. And for the easier understanding, the mesohapsim approach itself is a physical habitat modeling system which was created to model habitat modification for the purpose for sustainable habitat management. And in other words, these habitat modifications could be arose due to the both natural and anthropogenic activities. But mainly, most of the users definitely research the anthropogenic activities which caused by the dams and dams with hydropower plants. So the mesohabitat modeling simulation system, or short mesohapsim, was developed in early 2000s, and from those days it is grown up. And for example, when we were used it for the first time in 2017, it has only the evaluation of rearing conditions of the fishes. And now it is include the spawning conditions during the fish reproduction period. And as a basis for the mesohapsim model was a PHAPSIM. It is a physical habitat simulation model, which is more generalized, but still it is a basis, and the mesohapsim made it more detailed and more complex to adjust in any conditions. So the model concept consists of 3 main blocks. It is ecology, hydrology, and the processing. The ecological part is, first of all, identification of biological targets or indicators, then evaluation of in-stream habitats and establishment of habitat suitability criteria, adjustment of physical templates to reflect the reference habitat. And all these 3 points is basics what target group we are researching, because it is created basically for fishes, but it also could be applied for other species like crayfish or others. Then a hydrology part, it is consists of mapping of hydromorphological units, measurements of hydrological and hydraulic attributes, and also preparation of discharge series of hydrological scenarios, which will be disclosed a little bit later. And the processing, which is consists of application of the model and interpretation of the output results. So the model interface quite simple, because it is like a plugin in QGIS software, and QGIS is very flexible since it is open source software, and each of the users can plug some plugins inside and use it for their purposes. So SimStream, despite the QGIS is open source, SimStream is a licensed plugin, and it is necessary to own the license for different kind of usage. So after the installation, it is necessary to log in with the unique user profile and just upload the necessary data, which will be discussed in the next slides. The model applicability in our case was only fishes and their groups. And here we can see the whole list, which was applied for Lithuania, and the groups of the fishes with similar conditions of rearing. Also, we can choose the life stage, it is juvenile or adult, and also for adult ones, we can choose rearing and growing and spawning conditions. So the workflow and adjustment, first of all, we need to select the natural and regulated rivers. Natural is for that purpose to disclose the differences which were caused in regulated rivers. Then we have a really big block of the input data. It is hydrological data, fish data, and hydromorphological data from the field surveys. Also, it is necessary to create habitat, conditional habitat suitability criteria. All these data go to the mesoscale habitat modeling, and then we can evaluate the different impacts. So first of all, it is a fish conditional models, which is a basis for the target groups. And it looks like an equations with which describe the condition in terms of several parameters. It is river depth, current velocity, substrate of the bottom of riverbed, and the shelters or attributes which is found in the particular hydromorphological units. And it is also could be presence and high abundance equations. And for each fish species, the equations is differs from each other, and these conditions are found during the field surveys. Then reverse hydromorphology, which is also very necessary for the modeling, because according to different discharges and field surveys, we measured the polygons, which consist of different hydraulic features, because the hydromorphology itself, it is a unique habitat which is caused by morphological structure which cause the hydraulic features. So it is relations between them, and as we can see during the small discharges, there are very tiny riverbed with a lot of small hydromorphological units, but at the higher discharges we have a wider riverbed with more unique hydromorphological units. And in each of unit, we need to measure at least 10 points of river depths, current velocities to evaluate the dominant substrate, And according to these data, we are able to model fish conditions, but for the further modeling, it is necessary hydrological scenarios, which consists of reference and altered hydrograph, where reference is natural conditions without dam or without hydropower plant regulation, and altered what we have now and what is caused by the hydrotechnical structure operation. And then we have an output data. Output data, it is also 4 main blocks. It is first of all habitat flow rating curves, where we estimate how does the habitat percentage changes due to a change in discharge for the different fish species. And as you can see from the some points, it is made more even without any tendencies to grow up or for some fish species to decrease while the discharge is increasing. And the most targeted discharges for us, it is summer low flow. And to evaluate these curves, we need low flow minimum situation, low flow average, low flow maximum, and annual mean in order to cover all potential amplitude of discharges during to the warm season. Then the model provides for us a habitat time series. It is changes in habitat area in percentage of studied reach or habitat area in square meters. And here we have reference conditions without any regulation and altered conditions. And especially for the warm season, here we have a hydrological year. And especially for the warm season, the habitat areas, for example, for adult bleak and many other fishes, it's rapidly decreased under the influence of hydropower plants. Then we have habitat integrity indexes, which consist of index of spatial habitat availability and temporal habitat availability. So spatial habitat availability, it depends on how many area still left in the riverbank due to the changes in discharge, and temporal habitat availability, how many times those discharges are in the riverbed. And this index is more applicable for the further analysis because it shows how many times is productive for the different fish species. And also a little bit more colorful pictures by habitat suitability, where in each our measured polygon or hydromorphological unit, we can estimate how is suitable conditions for different fish species. And it could be not suitable, suitable, or optimal. And as we can see for the same fish species, but adult and juvenile, we have an opposite tendencies, and this leads to evaluate other runoff characteristics, which is necessary to maintain by a hydropower plant. And the main question, why Lithuania? And I will relate to Mr. Gintautas picture where the dams are shown on the Lithuanian map, and here we can see hydropower distribution of hydropower plants and dams without hydropower plants, which reservoir area is 50 hectares and more. And here are a lot of rivers which is affected by these hydrotechnical structures. And under our research, we studied at least 10 different river stretches below hydropower plants. And these stretches were covered mainly by these 3 projects: EcoFlow, EcoDam, and Transvat. So EcoFlow project is already finished, and the main objective of this project was to assess the impact of small hydropower plants on river ecosystem in Latvian-Lithuanian cross-border river basins, and to evaluate and make first steps in e-flow establishment. Then EcoDam is also the objective of EcoDam is also to assess the impact of hydrotechnical structure, which cover not only small hydropower plant but also dams without them, and as well as evaluate impact under different climate change scenarios, because at this moment we do not have enough knowledge how does the rivers react to the climate change scenarios and anthropogenic activities. And this project is the final steps, because we will finish it this year. And Transvat is ongoing project, and the aim of this project to ensure joint assessment and management of transboundary river and lake water bodies which hydromorphological or ecological quality pose a risk for not meeting EU water framework directive requirements. And about this project, I will continue a little bit later, why it is unique comparing with the previous one. And let's come back to the Lithuanian map. And here we have as case study objects of EcoFlow project. And these objects were took because they falls within the river basin districts, which springs are and upper reaches are in Lithuania, but these rivers continue flowing to the Latvian territory, and the middle and the upper reaches are in Latvia. So we choose 6 different hydropower plants, and below them we estimate habitat flow rating curves. Here we can see the Q97 of natural conditions for each river, then dash line for the altered by hydropower plant, and dotted line, it is environmental flow, which is legal for the hydropower plant owner, and they should maintain this amount, at least this amount of water for each hydropower plant. So we can see the impact while they are working on these discharges. And for example, for most fish species, this discharge maintain only 10% or even less available habitats. And on the example of Venta River below Kuodžiai hydropower plant, here was done hydromorphological survey. We mapped different hydromorphological units inside the riverbed, and according to the modeling results, we get the distribution of habitats in percentage during the natural conditions of dry year and altered conditions by hydropower plants during the wet, normal, and dry years. And here we can see the rapid decrease in available habitats for Schneider, dace, and Wimba fish species. But the opposite effect was found for the roach, which is widely tolerant fish species. But for the vulnerable ones, the effect of hydropower plants, especially in dry year, it is enormously high. And for the habitat suitability, here, according to different discharges, low flow minimum, average maximum, and annual mean, we have suitable, not suitable, and optimal conditions depending on the fish species and its behavior and preferences for the habitats. And the second project is EcoDam. It is covers a little bit other river catchments, and these catchments were selected according to the hydrological regions of Lithuania, because previously selected case studies was only in the central Lithuania and western. Now we took a little bit other, which is also cover southeastern Lithuania. For short basics, I will introduce that southeastern hydrological region distinguished by its strong groundwater feeding. In the central part, the most dominant feeding part to the rivers comes from the snow melt and rainfall, and the western region rivers mainly depends from the rainfall. So the behavior and hydrology differs from each other, and that's the reason why it is a broader selection of catchments were done. For the EcoDam results, it is distinguished by the evaluation of climate change, and here we have reference altered. How does the altered conditions impact the different fish species, especially for ETH index? And here we have three scenarios for near future from 2021 up to 2040, and for the far future, which cover the period from 2081 up to 2100. And according to different scenarios, RCP 2.6, 4.5, and 8.5. For three rivers from different hydrological regions, which was mentioned before: Jura Western, Šešupė Central, and Southeastern Verknė. And here we have the main differences that from the Western hydrological region, river does not react at all in some cases. In some cases, the conditions make better or a little bit worse, for example, from high to good conditions. But in the central Lithuania, the conditions for the fish existing rapidly decrease, especially for the far future and for even two climate change scenarios. And here we have not poor, but even bad conditions. For the southeastern part, where groundwater feeding is very strong, here differences show slightly decrease in the conditions, but still it is near the moderate or good, but for some fish species it is a poor. For Transvat project, which is ongoing, we took the case study from the Benta Basin district, and here it is several rivers with a lot of hydropower plants on them, and we took Vardova River, where a cascade of 5 hydropower plants are on it. And by these days, there are no research in Lithuania regarding to a hydropower plant cascade, and Transvat, and one of the aims of Transvat project is to evaluate it by the same modeling steps which was mentioned before, where we need hydrological data, hydromorphological and ecological. For this project, we are using a little bit new technologies like drones for the hydromorphological evaluations, electromagnetic current meters for hydrology, and so on and so on. But for the hydropower plants cascade itself, it is necessary to create a Hecraz hydrodynamic model, which will evaluate how do the hydropower plants interact with each other, and what is the environmental impact on the fish habitats. And after the evaluation, all these things, we will try to propose the e-flow for the each hydropower plant, and it will make, we hope that it will make the stretches below these hydropower plants a little bit better. And for the ending, I will say on behalf of our laboratory great gratitude for Paolo Veza, professor from Politecnico di Torino, who helped us to master this tool, who provide all necessary information and assist us for implementation and adjustment for Lithuanian conditions. So thank you for your attention, and I'm waiting for some questions.
Okay, thank you, Vytautas, for such comprehensive presentation. Very interesting, comprehensive research work presented and research work done during the project and presented during this short hour meeting. So I would like to ask, first of all, audience, maybe you have some questions to Vytautas. I don't see raised hands, so maybe I can, while some others are thinking, and we have a delay a little bit, but still I would like to use and ask Vytautas, because a lot of work was done by your lab for Lithuania, for modeling, for research, different teams, PhD thesis written, and I would like to ask how you present, or maybe how you cooperate with authorities, with regional or local or national authorities, and if they interested in your data, in your research results, and how you provide for them, or maybe you have some agreements with the national authority, and maybe they used or how they were used your data and your results of the research work done. Can you tell us a little bit about that? if you have, of course, information on that. I know that maybe some other your colleagues are communicating or cooperating or responsible for the relation with the national authorities. But would be nice to know if the results, if the data were used for policy makers or they used for policy development in country.
Yes, so thank you for your question. And definitely after all the projects, we are preparing the recommendations, because the main aims of those projects are to improve something into the natural legislation, because in some parts we are still young comparing with the other countries from European Union. And for example, on the EcoFlow project, we are happy that we have today Gintautas Sabas, because he's one of our stakeholders, which gain the information and share with his colleagues with maybe higher layers of policymakers. And we hope that in near future it will be implemented somehow in natural legislation, because Lithuania did a great job up to nowadays, but still there are some moments which is necessary to improve, and we are working on that. We would have reasonable statements for the future improvements.
Okay, thank you very much for your as well comprehensive answer. And still, I would like to ask the audience, maybe you have some questions to Vytautas. If there are no questions, I see that we have make a short maybe break in our event, and yes, we have a slight delay, but still maybe you have to make a coffee or tea or have a glass of water. And thank you very much for this first part. And yes, I would like to announce the 5 minutes break, okay, or 7 minutes. And I will try to share the video link with what I wanted to show to you, like a promotion to visit Lithuania and yes, and we will continue in 5 or 7 minutes. And thank you, Vytautas, again. And
thank you very much.
If you will stay for listening, it's up to you. Of course, I know that you are also very busy, but thank you very much for cooperation, first of all, with our project with Big Data for Rivers. Okay. And yes, and for the partners, once again, I would like to tell that I big apologize that for this stressful start with our event, I do not know, and all of our stakeholders can confirm that we did this testing and we used, and we haven't any problem. I do not know what happened, but I will try to solve. And thanks to technologies that we can still be online and hear each other and even see each other. So 5 or 7 minutes break, and we will start, I think, 10 minutes to 12. Okay? Okay, thank you. So I think it's time to start. I hope that you made for yourself some coffee or tea or some small break, and we will continue. Can you hear me? I hope that you hear me. Okay. So with the next, we have presentation from our stakeholder of our good practice from Kretingos city, from Johnstock company, Kretingos Vandenys. And I would like to invite Donata Pasovienė, technologist from this company. So Donata, please try to share, and I hope that everything will be okay.
Okay, I try.
Yes, okay, and
Okay.
yes, we can see and I can hear. I hope that all our participants also can hear you.
Okay.
And Donata will talk about two good practices. We divided into two, but she has one presentation about the innovative solutions in wastewater treatment, pilot testing of activated carbon for removal of pharmaceuticals and other emerging substances in Kretinga. And most important, that when we selected this good practice to present to our partners, they just were starting the project, and now she has results after 1 year running of the project of the removal of those emerging and pharmaceutical substances. And another one good practice about innovative solutions for stormwater management, also in their city. The city is located not very far away from the Baltic Sea. You can see in the Donata's slide, first slide, in green color. So please, Donata, take your time and floor is yours. And now we are going to listen to our good practice.
Thank you for introduction. So hello everyone. My name is Donata. I am Kretinga wastewater treatment technologist. And today I would like to share two good practices in our company. First of all, I would like to present the Kretinga city wastewater treatment plant. So water for test is biological treated municipal wastewater after tertiary mechanical filters with 50 microns mesh size mechanical treatment. Mechanical screens are aerated grid chambers are followed by primary sedimentation tanks, biological treatment, anaerobic oxid process, activated sludge technology, used for conventional nitrogen removal with a sludge age of about 22 days, capacity about 5,000 cubes per day. In this slide, I would like to show what the Kretinga city wastewater treatment plant really looks like. And what about activated carbon filter in wastewater treatment? The overall idea of the project is to test new cost-effective technological solutions for removal of pharmaceuticals and other contaminants emerging concern, CECs, as well as antibiotics-resistant bacteria, sustainable for small and medium wastewater treatment plants, and to disseminate information on new technologies to the end users. Tasks for research in different conditions, level of micropollutants removal, level of pharmaceutical residuals removal, minimum contact time for effective pharmaceutical residuals removal, and long life of activated carbon. In this slide, we show the location of the activated carbon filter in wastewater treatment, and it is marked in the presented technological scheme. In this slide, you can see the basic design data. I want to emphasize that there is about 2,000 kilos of activated carbon in the filter. The project will start last year in April. Then this filter will use more than 1 year. The amount of wastewater passing through the activated carbon filter is about 20% per day. Here you can see what the activated carbon filter built at the Kretinga wastewater treatment plant really looks like. Activated sludge filter is between mechanical tertiary filters. Here we can see technological scheme of activated sludge filter. For information, we present the latest research on medicaments and flags. From then we see that the efficiency of medicaments treatment using an activated carbon filter is about 98%, and in the treated wastewater, phthalates are reduced by 85%. We will repeat the studies again at the end of this year and be able to compare whether the efficiency of using the filter has changed over the years. After studying BOD, COD, total nitrogen, and total phosphorus, we found that these parameters decreased to 15% in treated wastewater. We are also interested in filter charge replacement research, absorption of contaminants on the surface of activated carbon, regeneration of activated carbon, and costs. But these are future projects. And in the slide you can see treated effluent before and after activated carbon filters. As a topic, ecological adapted stormwater investments in Kretinga town. Based on the findings of the special plan, 5 problematic stormwater subcatchment areas were selected from 32 with total 115 hectares drainage area for initial assessment, with following final selections of 2 problematic sites or outlets, suspended solids, BOD, with 8 and 9 hectares hard surfaces for stormwater treatment facilities design and construction, with successful discharge into the Akmena and Pastauninkas river. So you can see technological scheme near stream Pastauninkas. And in this slide is shown stormwater treatment plant with engineering networks. What about estimated efficiency? Suspended solids 80%, total phosphorus 50%, total nitrogen 30%, metals 50%, and pathogenic bacteria 70%. The designed and constructed stormwater treatment plant retention ponds are fully integrated into the existing landscape and adapted for recreational purpose for local inhabitants. Pond slopes planted with plants resistant to fluctuation of water levels and able to absorb dissolved substances. Vertical layout of aquatic plants depends on the amount of water required for their needs. Plants that require much water are planted as close to the bottom as possible, and plants that require least water are planted on the highest places of terrace. The selected way of rainwater management improves the quality of streams flowing through the Kretinga town and the current eco situation. So we can see the results of the research before the project and after project. So here we can see that efficiency is very good. And now in this year we have BOD about 5, suspended solid about 4, and petroleum products 0.6. And thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Donata, for your presentation. It's really very interesting, and I know that it is really for you, it's not the daily activity to present for others, even for the foreigners in the international event. And I know that you are busy with your daily activities each day with controlling and checking how the process is. I would like to ask, first of all, of course, audience, maybe you have some questions and try to ask, and I will translate for Donata if she will not understand what you want to ask her, but maybe somebody has a question to Donata.
Yes, I have a question, Jolanta. Sarah from Sweden here.
Okay, Sarah. Okay, please go ahead.
So it applies basically to both questions, I think, because in Sweden we are working a lot with PFAS. Have you looked anything into how PFAS is affected in both the granulated activated carbon treatment plant and how it occurs in your stormwater?
Okay, Donata, I just will discuss with Donata in Lithuanian. Okay? Donata, ar supratai, ką klausė Sara iš Švedijos apie PFOS, tai yra fosai vadinami medžiagos, kurios irgi turi, kaip pasakyti, emerging substances yra. Ar jūs tik tai ftalatus tyrėte ir farmacinės medžiagas?
Farmacinės ir ftalatus.
Okay. Okay, Sarah, I will answer to you. Yes, no, they didn't check the FOS in this project because the task was pharmaceutical substances, and of course they started with the phthalates, but not with the FOS.
Okay, I understand. It's we're starting to like increase our work with that in most areas. So, but I was just interested because I know that there are some universities in Sweden that are looking into how the activated coal can affect PFAS in like as a remediation method. So maybe that is interesting to know how it can affect in wastewater, because we also know that there is some PFAS in wastewater. So, but it was good to know. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and maybe somebody else have a question to Donata? If no, I would like to ask, or maybe to continue a little bit with you discuss, because most important what you said, and when we were discussing that the project was running 1.5 years, and when you started, the results of the technology were very great and very nice. And what about the results after 1.5 years? Can you a little bit go deeply to compare what you had in the beginning of the project and what you have after 1 year and more? How the results, are they comparable? Are the processes effective? Are you satisfied with the technology as such? Ar supratote, Donata?
Taip, tik tai tada atsakymą, jeigu galėsite, tada išverskit, nes
Gerai.
trūksta žodžių.
Gerai.
Tai taip, iš tikrųjų, tai mes ir planuojam šių metų pabaigoje pasidaryti naujus tyrimus, pilnus ir farmacinių, ir ftalatų, tada, nes bus tada jau matoma, kas yra, kaip ta aktyvinta anglis viską ar absorbuoja, ar nebeabsorbuoja, ar reikia jau regeneracijos. Bet pats pirminis įspūdis, tai iš tikrųjų mes esam rezultatais labai patenkinti.
So the answer was from Donata that they are going to make in the end of the year the comprehensive analysis of all the components, but what from the daily or from the monthly activities, what they do. So the results are very constant, and they are very happy with the results, with the technology, and with the results of measurements after treatment with the activated carbon for phthalates and for pharmaceutical substances as well. So, and I still would like a little bit to ask Donata about if they checked how activated carbon, of course, this is not, maybe they noticed some differences in biogenic substances, in nitrogen and phosphorus after the treatment with activated carbon. So Donata, do you see the differences, or maybe you have checked already, what about the nitrogen and phosphorus treatment with the activated carbon and with these pollutants, if there are some differences before and after implementation of this project?
Yes, BOD, COD, nitrogen and phosphorus decreased about 15%.
As well, using the activated carbon.
Yes.
You see the difference before and after the process, yes?
Yes.
Okay. So thank you very much, Donata, for this practical and good practice. And actually, we don't have in Lithuania a lot of technologies implemented in municipal wastewater treatment with activated carbon, and we know that several cities and smaller or bigger cities, they started because we know that the requirements are increasing and we should follow the water policy directive and those requirements, increasing requirements with the watch list and with the priority substances, and they have to companies, and especially wastewater treatment companies, they have to take some actions and update, install new technologies. And I know, especially from the companies situated near the Baltic Sea, that they want to update and they want to install as a tertiary treatment or some other technologies to decrease the concentrations, and not only nitrogen and phosphorus, biogenic substances, but also emerging substances, also pharmaceuticals, phthalates, and some other emerging substances. So, Donato, thank you very much for your presentation, for being with us, for cooperation with Big Data, Big Data for Rivers project. And yes, and I think we will continue cooperating with you. And thanks again, and good luck for you with your daily activities in your company.
Thank you very much.
And now we have, I see the last presentation, and I should announce that the Violeta Žasinienė from joint stock company Kauno Vandenys, she apologized very much because she, due to unforeseen circumstances, she cannot participate with us. She sent to us only presentation, and I will try to share with you and very briefly to present what she wanted to talk. But actually, yes, and I would like to share the presentation, and I hope that you will see it. Can you see the presentation?
Yes.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. So as I wanted to say that GIS as a technology in Lithuania is very, very popular, or I would say that especially in the water sector, in the water companies, and they started to cooperate with Finit Baltic Lithuania, and many internal projects were produced or implemented especially for the certain company. So, and this presentation, as I have mentioned about the joint stock company Kauno Vandenys, it means this our city, Kauno city, they asked to make this project in their company, and not only for the Kauno city, but also for the Kaunas district. And Violeta Žasnienė, she is GIS administrator, and she started this project working from the beginning, and from more than about 10 years already. And she really very good specialist and implementer, implements new applications, not only what they have already today, but step by step they started this project. So you see the picture on the right. This is our city from the view, and I wanted to tell that, and I said maybe before for our partners, and I would like to repeat that our Kauno city is situated in where the biggest rivers meets, River Nemunas and River Neris. And those two cities, rivers are the most biggest in Lithuania. As Vytautas presented, and you saw in our Lithuanian maps, you saw that a lot of rivers we have, smaller and bigger rivers. And of course, we are very lucky that we have a lot of, we have huge resources of water, and especially groundwater resources we use for our to produce for our drinking water production. And of course all our companies and industrial companies, mostly they use surface waters for their purposes. So as it is written in the slide, joint stock company Kauno Vandenys or Kauno Waters geographic information system is an integrated information management technology that enables to provide cartographic data about the underground networks belonging to their company and the associated attribute material. This is a real opportunity to provide the company's employees with a detailed visual information, not only about water supply and wastewater facilities, but also to use the data of the State Enterprise Center of Registers and the data of the National Land Service, that of other companies operating underground networks. So, and you will see in the next slides different maps, or in this slide, of course, the represented presented the different applications where how the GIS, geographic information system, is built, what applications are in the system. And in the next slide, there are information on how the system is used and for what purposes. And there are first of the applications is the networks, water networks, and not only from the Kaunas city, but also as you know, maybe the Kaunas city is approximately 300,000 inhabitant population, and of course we have many people living outside city. It means that these applications also include also not only the cities, citizens and their water networks, but also districts. And of course, the same with the wastewater networks. There are a lot of things included in the system, and one of applications is the water points, where the transfer or they deliver the water from different places, and there are also information about those points and what are the not wastewater but water treatment equipments, and where they are, how they are connected with the different in different streets and different users. Another one application is to see how the wastewaters are discharged to the wastewater treatment plant. And of course, using this data, there are a lot of also possibilities to check, to control online, or online to have information about the accidents or some important issues or works or plan to maintenance of the networks. And there is another application of different, actually I do not see the slide heading, but there is also different points marked in the map, and also each point has coordinate and could be managed by the operator of the company. And there are different networks and different information in the system about the networks, about the water networks, about the wastewater networks, about the reconstructed works, or what is needed to do in the company. And this really helps company to check the company's or to plan the company's resources, especially human resources, to plan the work, how these networks or water networks or wastewater networks could be managed or renewed or needed reconstruction. And of course, in the geographic information system, there are all the users, not only industrial users of water, but also all the users, people connected with they use the net central water distribution, and also central water wastewater collection. So they also have in this map all these data about the users and different. And of course, each point has different information on different features. So as I mentioned before, they have also application for what was the different works done in the system, and they also have information on nets, on wastewater nets, accidents, or in the surface water networks problems. or even in the water networks, in water distribution, where the accidents or some problems, and they have fixed everything, or they have this historical data. And as I said, that they started this project, but they use the data from 2002, and they rank them and also try to understand where the information is, or some accidents, more accidents in some places, in some places less accidents, and they understand that especially in old town, where the networks are very old, there are more accidents, and they have to take some actions to repair and to make actions for controlling. So that's as you see, I just go through the different maps, or to the different applications, and on different features of the GIS system, and they really use this and know that this information can supports their daily activities and supports their planning activities for the future. So thank you very much for your attention on this very brief presentation on GIS. And Mrs. Violeta Žąsienė, she was really helpful, and she said if you will need more information on their company, on their good practice, or on the implementation of GIS in their company, she will try to help us and to for bilateral communication, and we can also meet in bilateral meeting for more information if you will have. So I see that we have almost all from our agenda from today's study visits and good practices. And actually, I would like to a little bit to go through all these contents, what we had, and we still remember that we have had problems, technical problems, and of course, then those study visits and good practices presented by our stakeholders, by Ministry, Environment Protection Agency representative Gintautas Sabas, head of the departments under the Ministry of Environment, about the cadastre on rivers, lakes, and ponds, and of the Republic of Lithuania. Also, we had study visit and good practice on floating island for nutrient removal from live lagoons project, presented by Professor Chief Researcher Artūras Razinkovas-Baziukas from Klaipėda University. We had good practice presented by Senior Researcher Vytautas Aksinas from Laboratory of Hydrology, Lithuanian Energy Institute, on adjustment of model for evaluation of ecological conditions in Lithuanian rivers, and 2 presentations or 2 study visits or good practices from technologists, presented by technologist Donata Pasovienė from Kretinga Vandenys. And of course, what I presented on GIS from Violeta Žąsienė on good practice at Johnstone Company, Kauno Vandenys. So that's it for today, and I would like to ask you, maybe you have some questions or some remarks, or you would like to make some comment. You are welcome to do this, and I would like to ask you if you have some questions. I see the Sergio Gomez da Silva is have has the raised hand, so please go ahead.
Yes, thank you for the very interesting presentations and the tools in particular that we saw about the management on the networks and water treatment plants. I would like to know if it would be possible to receive links or examples of the tools that you have shown, either relating to the companies you are working with or the examples of technology that you are using for the maps and GIS. This is really something that is interesting for us. And just to introduce, tomorrow we will be presenting an initiative of integrated water quality monitoring in the southwest part of France, in Arcachon. So this is very related to what we would like to present. Thank you.
Okay, of course I will ask a company and I will try to share with you information. I think during the meeting or case study visit in, I think in France was, or in Romania, I don't remember exactly now, but my colleague Aidas Gudaitis, he was presenting GIS application and in different applications, and also I have a presentation and information from our stakeholder IGNIT Baltic. They, as I mentioned before, they started and not started, but they continue working with many companies in Lithuania on GIS application for water companies, and not only for water companies, but also with the Environmental Protection Agency, Environmental Ministry, and on different projects. Yes, I will share and I will send to you those links and this information, and I will share with you. So maybe somebody else have a question or some remarks still would like to ask or make a comment on what we have heard today and what was presented to you. I see Antonio has also.
Yes, I like to make a comment, a general comment. In the first place, I thank you for this group of presentations. All of them was very interesting. But I make a remark to the last two ones because they combine the problem of management of water resources in general with the information and communication technologies. And this is our major goal in our project, Big Data for Rivers. I think that this last one presentation that you made in name of your colleague is very important. So I ask for all partners to analyze these two, all of the good practices present, to make an analysis if it is possible to do the transfer of the good practices to their situation. And remark once more these two last ones because they have a quite large support of the information and communication technologies, and this is a major figure in our objective regarding the project. But I think that the session of this morning, it was quite useful for the partners of the project. Okay, so I want to thank you, Yolanda, by your effort. The way that you have management your technical difficulties in the beginning. Okay, don't worry, you know, all of us know that sometimes this type of technology make some tricks, okay? So, but once more, I want to thank you for your efforts, for the quality of the presentations. And regarding the objective of our project, I make a remark to the last two ones, the presentations, because they have a quite large support of the information communication technologies. Okay, so thank you for this morning, Yolanda. Okay.
Thank you very much, Antonio, for your good words. And actually, I still don't know what happened, because as I said before, 3 times already, that we checked and we used, and I just switched on, and you don't hear me. I do not know what happened. Okay, and thank you for your comment on those 2 last presentations. As you said, yes, I understand that. Our project mostly, and from our project aims and objectives, and we know that IT support for water control and management, and of course GIS is most, as I understand also, but of course we don't have to forget what it is the most important in the water resource management. We know that this decrease of pollution, decrease of emerging substances in our surface waters and our drinking water, and we know that okay, I would say that not I mean that in the project partner countries, there are different various different applications and on analysis, on monitoring, on online monitoring, even on different efforts to underline the most important problems. And I see that we are so different regions, but we have so similar problems. And we are talking about, and we are thinking maybe on different levels, from different point of view, or maybe with a different effort, because we have also cultural differences. But I see that we can learn, and we can learn from each other on working, on taking ideas, on taking opportunity to know and to learn and to try to implement. And of course we will do our best in our project in the last period in the development of the action plan. Yes.
If you also give me a chance to make a small remark to our partners of big data for the rivers, that is important to are already done making, I'm sorry, it is important that the work for the matchings is already in process, okay? And I think that this session of this morning is quite rich in different aspects to make good matchings in the project, okay? So I ask to all partners to analyze and study, put all the questions that can have before analyze these presentations that we have to this morning, because I think that all of them have quite a few important aspects, and how the problems were resolved, that can be important and interesting for our work of matching. Okay.
Okay, so maybe somebody else have some comment or wants to tell something to us, to audience, or to presenters even, or some wishes. If no, I would like to ask, just to avoid maybe tomorrow, we will continue on exchange of experience with the presentation from partner countries mostly. I would like to ask, because I checked, I haven't the emails from stakeholder from Greece, from Varvara Nikopolou. And I think that from Portugal, from Professor Ana Cristina Rodriguez, and also from Spain, from Professor Edna Cabecina and Professor Simone Varandas, and for Aurelia Lecenu, I think we have, because we were communicating between the search and Aurelia. So I would like to ask, maybe you can share with a message to those presenters that I will wait from 9:30 to test and to check if the system is working, and to test if the sharing of screen share is also everything is okay with those presenters. And also would like to ask that they would be nice that they could send to me also presentations in case if they don't, if they can't to share, but just before our meeting tomorrow morning, 9:30. And if there are no other questions, I would like to ask all of us. I know that some people, they left already, especially presenters, but still would like to ask to switch on your cameras. And I will ask Jūrate, my colleague, to make a print screen, because I do not, maybe I can do with my computer, but I do not know exactly if it is possible. Yes, maybe I can, but could you please switch on your cameras, and we will make print screen of our meeting. Still, I need some people. If you can, of course, if you can, if it is possible for you, and would be nice. And okay, I see that Rosa Silva from GeoTributo, they are without camera, it's okay. And I think it's maybe some others are also without camera, so maybe Jūrate, you can do the print screen of the meetings. Let's try to keep smiling. Even if we had a stressful day, or me, not you, and I apologize once again for that. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, all of you. And yes, and tomorrow morning we will start at 10 o'clock Central European time. And I kindly ask all presenters to connect half an hour before. Okay. Thank you for today. Thank you for today. Have a nice lunch and break and rest, and hope that everything will be okay tomorrow. Okay, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you,
all presenters and all participants. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Jesus.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. See you tomorrow. Ačiū.